What happened to Devil Jin? Going from one of the big bad top tiers, standing next to the likes of Dragunov and Azucena, to being considered the worst of the four Mishimas? How did we get here? Looking at the most recent player data, we can see he's also fallen off, going from his peak when the game first launched, being the 8th most popular character, to now being the 16th. In a game with only 32 characters, this is a pretty crazy fall off. But it gets even crazier when we compare those stats to Tekken 7, where Devil Jin sat as the 6th most popular character towards the end of the game. I couldn't understand what happened here. I mean, everyone pretty much agrees Devil Jin is a massive improvement in this game compared to 7, with his new visuals and voice and revamped moveset. So why, despite all this, has he lost popularity? I decided to investigate and get to the bottom of this, and after playing way too much Devil Jin and asking around the community, I think I found the answer. So, let's get into it. Devil Jin was first seen as a playable character in Tekken 5 and hasn't missed a game since, serving as the all-around, well-balanced Mishima option, compared to Kazuya and Heihachi. He's been notoriously strong in all Tekken games in the past, pretty much always being the strongest Mishima in every game he's appeared in. That is, until the end of Tekken 7, where they absolutely gutted his combo damage, leading most people to place him in the mid-tier. Fast forward to Tekken 8, and it seemed like Devil Jin was finally returning to the OP Mishima everyone expected from him, with most people initially putting him in the top 5. It didn't take long, however, for the cracks of this character to start to show. So let's talk about those cracks, and take a look at his moveset. In Tekken 8, Devil Jin was given some seemingly great new additions to his moveset. The new Morning Crow stance gave him full screen pressure into massive plus frames, and his new up forward 1 chain attack gave him a keep out tool unlike anything we've ever seen before. He also has his notorious heat smash that everyone has experienced and complained about. His huge damage and space control, along with the various new gimmicky tricks up his sleeve, contributed to his initial takeover of Tekken 8. But that's just it. A lot of this new stuff ended up boiling down to gimmicks. Upon the game's release, people just didn't know how to beat a lot of this stuff and were losing to matchup inexperience. Like his charge up guard break move at the wall, which is easy to sidestep and actually has a clear visual indicator telling you exactly when to sidestep. And his chain keep out move, which is incredibly risky because of how much end lag it has. People quickly found clear counterplay to a ton of his new options, like being able to float him out of his Morning Crow 1, forcing him to take a risky 50-50 with his other option landing him at -14. The heat smash remained ridiculously strong, essentially forcing his opponent to stand still and take a mix-up when Devil Jin was in heat. Despite that, people started to realize more and more that he really wasn't a huge threat in this game without heat. Combine this with Devil Jin being the character who's probably received the most nerfs so far in this game, essentially being nerfed every single patch, and it doesn't bode well for this guy. So let's talk about these nerfs. In the very first patch, his health sweep damage was greatly nerfed, and soon after, his combo utility also got a big nerf, with the damage scaling change to his CD1. Despite all this, the one thing holding Devil Jin up throughout all of this was his defining move, again being his Psycho Crusher, his Heat Smash. And then, to the dismay of all Devil Jin players, the May 7th patch was announced, heavily nerfing this Heat Smash, reducing the range and reach, and reducing the tracking, the two best parts about this move. Don't get me wrong, the Heat Smash was absolutely overtuned. It essentially had no counterplay, and I don't think moves like that belong in Tekken. But this Heat Smash served as his one thing, his one OP attribute that he got to keep in a game where every character is essentially cheating. And now, with that gone, pretty much everything about new Devil Jin in this game has either been figured out, like his gimmicky traps, or heavily nerfed. So we're pretty much back to classic Devil Jin. And after playing a ton of him recently, I honestly don't think classic Devil Jin is super strong in this game. His core design philosophy remains the same as it always has, having incredible highs and lows like the electric and hell sweep, but subpar mids. But at least before, he had a key set of tools that made up for it, being his poking. In previous games, Devil Jin always had the best poking out of all the Mishimas, having the longest reach on key tools like his jab and down forward 1. Here in Tekken 8, he's given all those tools to Jin, and now has pretty weak poking. He lost a ton of range on everything, and his signature down forward 1-1 string has been replaced with a really bad high follow-up. His down forward 1 is also one of the more -1s on block in the game. This is not good for Devil Jin. His health sweep is still very strong despite the nerfs, but it's arguably worse than Kazuya's, and I would say his overall 50-50 is actually much worse. Devil Jin lost a ton of utility with the addition of heat engagers in this game, with his up forward 4 losing the insane knockdown property it had and no longer setting up his broken Oki. Sure, up forward 4 being a heat engager guarantees you one 50-50, but once you don't have heat, it's pretty much a useless move. This might be a hot take, but I really prefer how this move functions in Tekken 7. Sorry to interrupt the video, but if you guys are enjoying this and want to support more scripted Tekken 8 content, please consider subscribing to the channel. It's free to do, and you can always change your mind later. And it really goes such a long way, as only about 11% of my viewers are subscribed. Thank you guys so much for helping me move closer towards my dream of hopefully one day doing this as a job. Let's get back to the video. In addition to this, not having a safe mid-launcher for his 50-50 really hurts him, and forces him to use his well-standing 2 as a mix-up, which is unsafe at -12 and also requires a ton of execution. He does have a few safe options like his CD3 and CD1+2 in heat, but these options in my opinion are way too slow, and while they may be able to get you a lot of mileage in low level, they'll almost never be used in professional play. So you'll pretty much eventually be forced to master this very hard move to execute out of wave dash that's -12 on block. And this brings me to my next point. This guy is hard. He's always been one of the hardest characters to play in Tekken, and while I initially thought he'd be easier in this game because of all of his new gimmicky stuff, now that these options have pretty much been figured out, I truly think he's one of the hardest characters in the game now. Even the notoriously difficult Kazuya got some tools in this game to make him simpler, like his insane Demon Paw. A lot of Devil Jin's key tools like his Demon Paw are just weaker than the other Mishimas, with his having pretty awful range. The Mishimas have never been popular in tournament play, but I feel like the key standard tools like his poking and Demon Paw being weak will lower his play rate even more. I want to clarify, I'm not saying Devil Jin is a garbage character. I still think he has a lot of good things going for him, but I do understand why a lot of people have been dropping the character recently. When the game first launched, he had that new game unfamiliarity really helping his play rates and win rates, but now, everyone more or less understands the character. Devil Jin players just feel like they have to work really hard for not enough reward, in the same game that we have crazy brain-dead top tiers running around. And even compared to the other Mishimas in this game, he just feels like he has a lot less to work with. Before, you could still say, well, at least he has his incredibly strong heat smash, but now he doesn't even have that. Comparing Tekken 8 Devil Jin to regular Jin, I can see why a ton of people decided to make the switch. Jin just feels like a much more consistent character, which is super important in this game. He's much easier and has way better Tekken fundamental tools that let you focus on the match itself rather than stressing about your own character constantly. Jin has pretty similar combo damage and a worse 50-50, but makes up for it with his much stronger neutral control through his Demon Paw and forward 4. He also has excellent poking and range, which he stole from Tekken 7 Devil Jin. I can only imagine that these recent nerfs are going to lower the character's play rate even more, as more and more people move on to other stronger and easier characters. I know the tier list and difficulty tier list don't directly correlate to the popularity list, but honestly, that's really the only reason I can think of him losing this much popularity recently. And this really sucks because, like I said earlier, I think his visual and audio design are just amazing in this game. They did such a great job with him. So if you're a Devil Jin character loyalist, you have my utmost respect. This character is really cool in this game. But yeah, that's about all I've got today. But why do you guys think Devil Jin has lost so much popularity recently? Let me know in the comments. I'll be down there chatting with you guys as always. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to like and subscribe. It's a huge help. And I also want to give a quick shout out to my YouTube members and Patreon patrons. Thank you guys so much for the continued support. It really means the world. I couldn't do this without you guys. I know my uploads have been a little bit inconsistent lately, but I have a lot more coming, so make sure to stay tuned. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.